up with a completed project, a game plan, in other words, a game plan to actually finish what we started. And it would help if you guys understood the game plan and understood that we had a police station that we need to build too. And that we're working as a town to try to see both of those completed with a plan that actually works. It will actually work. It will not be constantly delayed because of a inability to get a vote count.
The related question is, what's the residual value of this building to the town of Tufton Borough? You build a building across the street, is this building worth $1 million to Tufton Borough?
The figure was $400,000, but there was a complete study done.
$400,000 seems incredibly low, so it's probably worth a lot more. So if the town of Tufton Borough would say, the residual value of this building is $1 million, or $800,000, or $1 million, $400,000 is nothing, is $1 million, then you can figure out what the real cost of the other building is. And the town can contribute $1 million to the cost of the construction. And someone has to talk about the residual value of this building, what's it worth to the town?
There was a study, there was a study
Michael
done.
Trade.
There was a study done in 2014 to look at using this building, existing building, for a police facility. And I reviewed that. I reread it again. I reread it last night, looking at what at the floor plan of what the police department is going to use in this building. But that, the floor plan, and I don't want to get off another tangent, but the floor plan was designed to use this building and to fill up space in this building. Now, if you were going to do a from scratch construction on a new police station, would they need that same kind of space to accomplish what they need to do? And I'm not going to get into that debate because that's not the time. But Skip's absolutely right. We need to figure out how we're going to be able to do this so that we present it to the town and say within 10 or 15%, we can get what we need for the library end of the deal and have money left to do what the police department needs. That's
What is the town's anticipated amount that you're able to raise, approve for both projects?
we have no idea. We've never presented both.
Because truly, our team is really looking at the library and working for you to get a library. The whole idea of a police station is not in our scope of work, it's not
You're
even on our
absolutely right.
radar. So by blending them together,
No, we're not blending them together, it's just what is this structure worth to the town? That's a town's problem to get it up to snuff. That's not
Right.
the library's problem.
right, so utilizing a 2014 report that looks
2014,
at
the use of
specifically.
this building was $400,000.
So-
So it's probably more now.
Well, everything's more now.
So, can I ask, because I've not read it, the report on the station, was that to renovate this
It was
building?
to renovate this building.
And add a sally port, I
Yes.
believe, because you need to have a sally port for a new station.
Yeah.
So, and what I understood was that this square footage of this facility now is larger than the actual needs of the police station.
Well, that's the $24,000 question, because the people on that committee used the footprint of what they were dealing with.
Sure.
And I hate to use it was not their intent. They used the footprint for the building.
Okay.
They filled it up.
Sure. And then added a sally port.
And added a sally port. 3 years later, or potentially for a police station, 4 or 5 years later, okay, how much space is the department going to need? That's not on our watch. That's something
Okay.
they're going to have to. That's going to be decided by other people that certainly those of us sitting around the table. We'll be glad to get you a copy of the report just to see what they had to say. But
I don't want to interrupt, but for Andre, I guess this point, this is more towards Andre's deal. We should be able to demonstrate, or you should be able to demonstrate, or suggest to the town of the potential cost savings if we were able to do both the addition to the library and the police station. If they were both to be done at approximately the same time, there would be significant savings on the general contractor. You would be able to look over, you'd have excavation that could take place seamlessly from one site to the other. You'd probably have other savings that you could work into both projects if they were both being done simultaneously. Is that a fair assumption to make or not?
Is the site for the police station scheduled to be where the library was going to go?
There is
Yeah.
no site.
There, we don't have a
We don't
site,
have
but
any.
that's a possible, that seems to be
This is a
a
hypothesis.
very possible scenario based on comments that selectmen have made. So, if you want to, if the town wants to move forward and try to solve the infrastructure problems that they've been talking about for 12 years now, it would be helpful if we had people with your expertise that were going to participate in understanding the project and offering advice to people that don't know. I mean, selectmen don't know anything. And try to steer us towards a possible solution. I'm not saying the town's going to go for it, but I tend to think that if the town could be shown, here's the library addition that we're going to do. It's going to cost us $1.7 million complete. We have a police station that we could build, that we've had preliminary discussions, informal discussions with the police chief. And we think we could do a police station for around $1 million. The total package would be slightly more, but it would be in the ballpark of what the new library was going to cost. We're coming in, let's say, 2.7 to 2.9 million to get both facilities constructed. Now, along with that presentation, we'd be able to say, we could do it two ways. We could get a bond that lowers the tax burden on the town to do these projects. Or if the town doesn't want to do that, we're going to start being more aggressive with our capital reserve warrant articles that we're going to ask to get these done. Because we have a majority of people that want to see both of these done. So with the towns faced with the reality that there are going to be some rather large warrant articles that are probably going to pass, or we can do this in a bond now and have, everything done and have the tax impact on the town mitigated over a longer period of time, they might understand that it's in their best interest to go ahead and vote the bond and get the problem solved. But that requires somebody presenting something that is doable and practical and an obvious solution to the problem. That's the aim of this addition. I mean, we could just, these library folks here could just ignore that and say, we want to keep pounding for our new library across the street. I mean, there's some people on the library trustees that would very much like to do that.
There are.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
Well, I'm almost positive that the woman on the end of the table here has been pretty adamant about not wanting to change anything.
No, that is not true, Skip. And I
Okay.
think you misheard a lot of what I've said.
All right, well, we have it on tape, so I'm
Well,
a
that's
little
fine.
bit surprised.
That's not
I
what
think
it's
that
meant.
all of this is probably maybe true, but it really would be the selectmen, not the library trustees, who obviously have to oversee that.
That's true. Selectmen do have to oversee it.
And I know Carla's been trying to break in.
I'm just wondering, to the public, and maybe this is a question for Skip, how do we address monies already spent for the project across the street? Because how much have we spent on architectural fees and engineering fees and work with Bauen Corporation that we just won't see again?
Well, that's
And
one
how
of
do
the
you remember
effects
how
of
much
not
money
having a
that is?
comprehensive plan. You
But how
lose.
much money has been spent so far? Does anybody here
What's
no
more?
recollection. I think engineering was at least 50,000.
No, the engineering's been done.
Yeah,
No,
engineering was done across the street.
Yeah.
Did that come in at about 50,000?
I think it was less than that. I believe it was less than that.
I didn't bring
We-
all of that with
We,
me, but it seems.
just for clarity, I'm sorry, excuse me, just for clarity, the engineering wasn't complete and our total fee for the first project was never complete. We only
Okay.
got the drawings, maybe 2/3 of the way through, and then in March, the vote failed, and so we were asked to put a stop to it. So we stopped working on it. So it's not all been spent,
Okay.
but all that effort is lost unless we're asked to pick that project up again and go forward with that building. And then we're able to just pick up where we left off, and our fee wouldn't change, even though stuff has changed in the
So you
industry.
pick up those savings that she's talking about then?
Correct, correct. However, if I could also state that I agree completely with you, Chip, with what you're saying. A master plan should be done so that the community has a sense of the goals. But that has to come from the selectmen,
Oh, sure.
you know, and that should have been stated years ago. Let's plan this as a big, you know, community project, and let's master plan it, and then the teams would be working on it. As of right now, you have independent organizations doing it, and you're trying to blend it, and that's the.
No,
Well,
that's-
the Capital Improvements Committee has a bond, or has a plans for 2018 vote for the library, and the next year for a police station. I think it was the next year, it wasn't 2 years ago. So
That's what I remember.
They've got numbers
that's-
plugged in.
That's what they're anticipating us doing,
Yep.
But,
as us being the community.
but you're absolutely correct, and that's why I'm making my statements now in this forum, is each entity has been adopting a plan, and then they've been, you know, using a battering ram to try to get it through, and it hasn't been working. And so I'm suggesting that perhaps if this committee understands the bigger picture, maybe conversations should start with selectmen and with police, and perhaps somebody in the selectmen's department might want to start picking up on that lead and trying to come up with a comprehensive plan. It's been a pretty rigid, we've had a pretty rigid environment of each entity wanting to just do what they want to do and not really concerned about anybody else's wants or needs.
I don't want to make argumentative, but I don't really think that's a fair statement, because certainly on our end, we've been acutely aware over the years of what the town needs, what the needs of the library are as part of the overall picture for the town. We're also in a different situation as we're a quasi-public-private organization. There's a certain amount of autonomy that is designated to the library trustees as part of the business. But we don't live in a vacuum.
Okay, well, perhaps a better effort could be made, and that's, perhaps the best effort hasn't been made, so that's why I'm
So,
getting involved.
So
again.
when would you propose that this effort go forward? If we're looking at the next 3 weeks of having to have figures in mind, you know, that,
well, we're going to be meeting with the selectmen to let them know what we're doing before that time. Certainly we can broach the subject then,
yeah.
and we will, because, I mean, how I started the meeting this morning, saying, look, we need, you know, we have our costs, we know there are going to be costs across the street, and I want to get them as close, both projects, as close as possible to what we were talking about to do with the one building across the street. I think that's going to give us our greatest success for passage, which is essentially what.
That's exactly
saying.
what I'm saying.
Thank you.
And how much is the town anticipating for the police station building?
We don't know.
So it hasn't been designed, you don't know if it's a site?
There are some preliminary drawings, which I thought were on the town website, and after we leave this morning, I'm going to go to the town to see if it is indeed still on the town website before I look at it. because we had one paper copy here, which is actually sitting on my kitchen counter right now. I forgot to bring it back this morning, but I want you, certainly to take a look at it. And I'm sure it was on the town website. I just couldn't figure out where they put it.
Well, go ahead.
I just want to commend the library trustees, because just being here and entertaining yet another plan shows that you're dedicated to the town and what's best for the town, rather than pushing an agenda like that.
Joan?
One thing, we were talking about perhaps, depending on what we do, closing down the entire library for several months, whatever it be, I think is the wrong direction, because I think there are many people who rely on all the technical devices that are available in the library. It's not just a question of books.
Believe me, that would be the worst case scenario.
I just,
I would, as you were discussing it, I was thinking to myself, okay, hours over. What could we do? What could we do to say, all right, so we're going to sacrifice part of a Tuesday to give 2 consecutive days, Monday, Tuesday, with us not around and do some hours. There are things that we can do creatively to get this accomplished once we get to that point that we need to accomplish them. But, no, I don't think we'd ever
also, if
anticipate
you're going
closing.
to, as Skip suggested, work on 2 buildings at the same time, then you would have to close this. If you would, simultaneously. That was one of the suggestions.
Well,
Yeah.
a bridge to be crossed.
Yeah.
Well, it's a cost-benefit analysis. Right?
Exactly.
You can't really say, is it worth $12,000 to close the library for 2 months? Is it worth $50,000 to close the library for 2 months?
It's not going to happen.
Well,
I don't think.
yeah, at some point, you're gonna say,
That has to be a piece of the computation, I
Yeah.
think, in my opinion. And not just because I'd like to go to the beach.
We can provide that information, but it's very unusual that we ever have a client say, oh yeah, we're gonna leave the building. Because the library is a very important part of what the town offers. So that's why we approached the estimate the way we did, because we anticipated that you would want to keep it.
Max?
Last week, Marianne had what I thought was a great idea about having a bigger, I mean, I know everybody's welcome to come to this meeting, but a bigger, you said town meeting. I think that's a great idea to talk about what the town's goals are, to go to what Skip was talking about. My concern is that no matter when that meeting might be held, some people won't be able to go or will be out of town or what have you. So then I was thinking in terms of getting that information, could you, and I know that there's an immediate concern about getting estimates in a few weeks, so maybe it's not possible, but you could send out a survey to everybody in town.
We've done surveys in the past, and our rate of return is not generally very good, as most surveys aren't,
But would it be higher
by
than
the fact that we have had a 60% plus majority vote for every library project that has been put forth so far, shows that the majority of people in the community want this to be accomplished, is to get to that supermajority. And our goal now is what can we do to facilitate that? And certainly I'm of the opinion that getting the total overall projects and needs of the community met for within the same dollar figure that people already voted 60% for last March, that's the best foot forward to get things done.
And you combine that with the fact that you're going to start getting more aggressive with your capital reserve fund votes, which only require a simple majority. If the public knows that this library is going to get built either in a year or 2 or 3 based on how much is appropriate on capital reserve, then they have an incentive to recognize that a bond is probably better than the overall interest.
As long as interest rates hold, we're in good shape.
Yeah, so
Still no better time to borrow money.
Yeah, I agree.
It's interesting, putting money in the capital reserve is always a wise method because it builds awareness and then the community understands we've already got so much in, we should just make the final investment in a bond to get us over the goal. What I find interesting is now this conversation of combining efforts to come up with one number, which was close to what you approved last time. We've not seen that to be a successful effort in other communities around the state of New Hampshire. When towns try to do police and fire, you can blend that easily enough. But when you try to do a library and a safety complex, then you have two different interest groups that have issue with one or the other, and it complicates matters. What's proven successful over and over for years is a proper planned approach. Here's the master plan, here's the CIP. Project X is planned in 2020, Project Y is planned for 2025. So the town is aware of what they're going for, and you take one at a time, one chunk at a time, and you invest in one at a time. And you are typically able to get the majority. The super majority is always a challenge. It's not just with your town.
But, so you're basing that on towns with a population of about 2,600 people? Because that's about what we have here. It's a really small town.
It's a
and
small
it
town,
works
but
a
that-
lot differently than even Wolfboro works.
But a percentage is a percentage. It doesn't matter the population.
Yeah, but, okay, I would tend to think that these people are pretty knowledgeable about what's going down, and pretty well-informed public.
Absolutely.
My apologies. Anthony's a passionate person. When he's in a project, he's in it 110%. We are not political consultants. We're pencil jockeys.
Yeah.
Don't engage us in this conversation.
Yeah.
Smart man.
I wanted to say, I agree with what you said, though. I think this project started years ago with the police and the library together, and the town couldn't get their arms around the two projects. And there were political sides, Skip, that really did not want the police station for love or money, and the same with on the other side with the library. And the CIP has, for years, had a plan, has said that the town needs both, and we couldn't seem to get there. And we have a master plan. It's going back and doing it all over again makes no sense to me. It's all been there, all the way along.
Miriam?
Yeah, I'd just like to respond to both Max and Skip at the same time. So, Max, I'm referring back to times when the police and fire were an issue, and we came together as a group and met several different times in August, and we came to a conclusion that police and fire were not gonna work together. All right, that was the decision that was the result of those meetings. And Skip, I think what you're doing is going to the operation of my mind, and that's not where I am. I am playing the devil's advocate. I am not 100% behind the project across the street or 100% behind this. I was very grateful when you came in with that little box of paper and put it over and said, we can do this. And I thought, oh, that's a very interesting concept. And I started listening very carefully. I was very frustrated when I realized that not only can we do that, but we can move out back. I'm not 100% gifted and invested in that project across the street or 100% invested here. I'm invested in what the town wants, and I want to know what other people in this town want. I'm very happy that you brought that box to us. I mean, I was really impressed when I said, geez, we could drop a box over this and make this a much bigger space and stay right here. Because I know several of my friends are very happy with the small library, like it, they'd like to stay in it. But I know from working with the staff here, we need a bigger space. And that was a very nice space over there. And I just keep thinking, what's going to be the best plan ultimately for the town? And I am 100% behind the police department. And I'm flabbergasted that some people in this town have this tunnel vision that they cannot see the forest for the trees. They cannot see the police department needs because of certain individuals. And that's what people keep saying to me. Well, we don't want them to have that. Well, it's not them, it's us having a decent police station that is far better than what we have right now. I mean, I was in that town office one day when there was a critical situation going on, and the police chief was called into the welfare office, and people came into the door and went, ooh, and they ran out. They were afraid. They knew something bad was going on. That is not a safe situation for where that police department is. And it's just an accident waiting to happen. So we need both things. And we're not the ones that made the decision to put the library first. The selectmen put the library first.
Well, as I say, let's plow our field by doing what we need to do. But when we meet with the selectmen, we will try and point out that this is something that we feel needs to be looked at as well.
Somehow they got the Taj Mahal fire station built without even an outside excess room for functions. So how did the fire station get?
We need excess room for functions.
I understand that outside people can't use that large fire station, and if some room had an outside entryway that could be rented out or used by outside people.
It has a meeting room.
Has a meeting room, but I understand it has no outside access, so it can't be accessed by people from the
Right.
outside.
Yeah, well, that's because it was the fire station built to be a fire station.
Okay.
It was not built to be the library with a meeting room, which is what this room is used for.
But either way, the fire station was approved and built at $2.5 million.
Yeah, about that.
Well, construction was less than 1.9.
Yeah, so, yeah, about 2 plus. Okay then.
My understanding was that was not without controversy as well.
Well, no, the original one was a lot more controversial.
That was gonna be a public safety building with both police and fire, and that was voted down. And then they came back the following year with just the fire station.
All right, so you have your marching orders, for all intents and purposes. You're leaving town. Enjoy yourself.
Catch big fish.
Look forward to hearing from you as soon as possible. And
So let's talk though about schedules and meetings, and when is the CIC committee looking for?
Well, the CIP, I got an email yesterday that said the CIP would like to have everything in by September 8th, which is not going to happen. And it never has, but I would like to take certainly by the middle of the month.
So I will be back on the 28th. So if we need to work, we have to do that, because I'm away again.
I'm leaving again.
2nd of September, and I'm back the 12th. So I can have someone in my office work on estimates while I'm away, but there's a window where I can work on things the week of the 28th, if we have everything ready to go.
Shall we tentatively look at the 31st then? Thursday be a good day.
I won't be here for
Can
most
you
of
guys
next
get
week.
together next week?
That's next
Could work.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking.
That would be
We've got
nice.
a 2 weeks.
Is have the work session next week,
Okay.
develop the outline, and then that would give you guys some time to put down some paper, and then I'll jump on it that week, the last week of August, and try to get.
So we can do it say next Thursday?
I think we should rough something out and get it to you ahead of time,
All right.
then have you come,
Okay.
or we'll come, or whatever.
So you want to shoot for the 24th?
And what I'm saying is, I will not be here from the 21st through the 23rd. I will be out of town, so I won't have a chance to look at it.
Well,
You say you're gone the 21st to the 23rd?
Yeah, but that does not give anybody here a chance to look at it.
Conversation.
well,
Excuse me.
If you pick up your email while you're gone, yes, we can.
I'm gone.
Okay. You're gone,
You're
gone.
talking. Thank you.
What about Friday?
Friday the 25th. Better.
Is Friday the 25th better?
Okay with you guys?
Target for the 25th.
So I'll jump on things when we get back.
Yep. Okay, 9:25 then.
With Bill.
Here? Here.
If that works. We can start later in the morning
No,
because
doesn't work.
we can start at 9, so you guys don't have to get to the Dom patrol. We'll go for 9:25 at 9
Oh, they
o'clock.
look at
Okay?
Yes.
8:25.
Nice, so it gives them more time to get up here. We had to do it early this morning with Andre. We had to get it out early. Thank you very much.
Can you give me those dates again? Are you gonna meet with the selectmen before these gentlemen get back, or?
I'm gonna go after we leave here and see if we can get on to the next selectmen's agenda. Just
Okay.
to let them know what we talked about today,
All right. And you're gonna meet when with these gentlemen again?
the 25th.
25th, okay.
So
Thank
is
you.
that a work session?
Yes.
September.
So it's not a public.
Of August, 25th of
Yes.
August.
Yes.
Oh, August 25th?
Yes, that's right.
Oh.
Oh, it's August 25th? Is that current Opal dates?
Yes, it is.
Is that the day of the breakfast?
No,
No.
that's Saturday.
Okay, so, but we're, in and out, a couple hours.
So is breakfast going to be served at least?
No, that's
No.
the next day.
The next?
Yeah, you're sorry, you gotta come back on the 26th if you want
Okay,
breakfast.
I'm gonna find out, for your personal notification, what we are in for process for this building, for a police station, just so you'll know. Okay, and if I can't find the whole report online in town hall, then I'll scan a few and just give you an idea. Okay?
I just wanted to say, I feel compelled to say, this guy's the messenger, don't shoot him.
You're not killing anybody.
Um,
It's like I always took pride, I never fired anybody, I made their lives so goddamn miserable. Anyway.
well,
Thank you all.
I missed the bad part.